So for your daily life, you really should probably try to understand electricity. And especially for hard times, It's just one of those things that will affect you and it will affect everyone else. And therefore, it is a threat. It is part of your entity, as in your everyday threat and inconvenience. Because when there is electricity flowing in harmony, then you're okay. However, that electricity has to come from somewhere, and that electricity is making a hell of a lot of mess in the whole planet. Okay, and it is we do it as harmonic as we can, but sometimes we very much screw up. But anyway, point being that it is one of those things that you really want to take into consideration because it's something that you use every day. It's kind of like you have to know when the air that you're breathing is contaminated, and then you try to run because you're going to die, or you kind of take care of the water that you're going to drink, because if you know that it is contaminated and you drink it, you might die. And if you don't know that the water is contaminated and then you drink it, you might get sick and die. And if you contaminate the water on purpose and then use it for your skin or whatever, you are going to get sick and you're probably going to die. So electricity kind of works the same. You have to try to understand how the health things work, because this is something that you use daily. And electricity is called cold fire because basically wherever there is electricity, there is also heat. And when you have heat that you cannot see, but it is there, it will cause fires. And this is why, there are so many electrical fires and stuff that are going to happen, during hard times, because people do not understand how electricity works. Now, before I continue, I wanted to remind you that down below is my email in case that you want to help me out by sending an Amazon gift card. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that one. So anyway, here I go. So I'm going to try to explain electricity in a way in which, you can understand it easy. This is how I explain electricity to my students when I try to teach them physics class, okay? So imagine that you are driving a bus, okay, the school bus. And, you're going from your house towards, the school. Now, there are several things that you need to consider when you're driving that bus. Number one, there must be a road, okay? If you have no road, then you can't get there. Try to imagine getting, a bus in the middle of the jungle, to go through the jungle, to go to the place, Hell no, you need a road. So number two, you need fuel for the freaking car. Because if you don't have fuel, then how the hell is the car going to, move? So the fuel will be kind of like the electricity that you're getting from the structure that it is already set up. You know why in some places in Africa or even in rural areas they do not have electricity? Yeah, that's because electricity does not travel by road. Electricity travels to huge amounts of cables, okay? There is Wi-Fi electricity, but we, not yet there for everyone. So anyway, so you need the cables, like the huge cables that go from, wherever your electricity is coming towards your house. That's the road. No cables there means no electricity. Now, this is important to understand, because if that cable, for whatever reason, doesn't work, like for example, there was a storm, and then a huge tree, just took down a power line, then you're not getting electricity. It doesn't matter where you are, you're not going anywhere, because there is no road, because there is no cable. So now, Second part, the fuel. This means that if you have problems in the dam that is producing that electricity, or in the nuclear plant, or in the wind farm, or whatever the hell that electricity is coming from, okay, if they have problems there, you are not going anywhere. Meaning, you're not going to get electricity. Why? Because the car doesn't have any fuel. Okay? So you need to understand this. If the origin where you have the electricity has problems for whatever reason, you are not going to get electricity. It doesn't matter if everything is right in your house and the car or whatever, because the car might be right, but if it doesn't have fuel, it just won't move. So then you have, certain things within the car that have to work. Okay? So number one, it has to have the right tires. You can't move a car without the right tires. If you have them wrong, you are going to be screwed. Meaning you're going to damage the car. So try to imagine that you're going to, use a truck, okay? A truck filled with lots of things. And then you're using, for that truck, you're using motorcycle tires. What do you think is going to happen? Those tires will not be able to support the weight, and at that point, they will blow up. Now, the tires are the equivalent to breakers and transformers in your house. So think of this. Wherever there is electricity, there are the cables, and the cables connect to other cables, and then all of the cables will connect to other cables. So think that the cables must go through some sort of tire in order for them to work. Why? Because you cannot have just one. Try to imagine if you have, only one cable going from the power station, that wherever you are producing the fuel, the electricity. So you have one cable directly from the dam towards your house. Just one. Not stops, not anything, just one. What do you think is going to happen? Number one, the amount of electricity that you are going to get in your house is insane. It's insane because the water dam is probably producing what? 1 million things, and you probably need what? Maybe 50,000 in your entire house. So, hell no. You need to kind of divide it. Think of that division as little tires, okay? Little, think of them as cable, tire, cable, tire, cable, okay? So if there is something wrong, let's say that, the tree cuts down this power line, yeah, that's not going to be a huge problem. It is going to be a problem, but not that huge, because that cable is going just to your neighborhood, and that's it. So your neighborhood is not going to have electricity, but everybody else is going to have electricity, because it is just one road. Think of this as streets, avenues, and then highways. They are not the same. Because in the streets, there are supposed to be houses. In the avenues, there are supposed to be huge companies or stores. They are not the same. And then in the highways, you are supposed to have like major connections. In the highways, it's like the heart of the roads. So think about it that way, okay? And think about the tires kind of like the street sign, saying this one is an avenue, this one is a street, this one is a highway, okay? So whenever there is a problem, you just put it like a police road here and say, hey, don't go through this road because it's damaged, okay? And then somebody else will take a detour or whatever, but nobody's going through there because they know that there is a problem. So the same way goes with that. So we have huge transformers that will go, okay, so in here we have 1 million, we need, 10 groups of 1,000. Each one of those 1,000s, 100,000 will have, a power station. And then the power station will have, transformers, because obviously you cannot have, from the place that you produce electricity, have the power station, and then have it deducted to your house, because you still have, what, 100,000 something? I mean, it's just too much. You probably need like 5,000. I'm just making these numbers up, but it's just so that you get the point. The point is that from this, think of this as the budget for your family. You get $2,000, but you're not going to spend $2,000 in just, let's say that you go to the restaurant once. I mean, no, hell no. You gotta divide it. When you divide it, you are putting that into transformers. Now, what happens if you screw up with your budget because of whatever, an accident, whatever? What happens is that you go wire, meaning you stop. You have to stop everything from that, so that you can, fill up whatever, hole you made because you had an extra expense. So kind of like that. So the transformers, if they have an overcharge or something, they will blow up. They are going to sound boom, and they are going to, do a lot of damage, but they are going to secure your road. Meaning, you might have rough times, but you're not going to lose what you already had before this. So the company, all they have to do is go, call, and change the transformer. See, if the transformer doesn't blow up, then what happens is that the whole cables that you have connecting towards this thing, they will all blow up. Now try to imagine if you have like a fan, and then you set it on fire. The fire will go from here towards everything in that fan. So what happens is that the transformer says, oh no, hell no, you're not going to blow up the whole fan, all the whole cables that you have, for each house. Oh hell no, you blow up the transformer, and that way the houses are going to be secured. And that way, the companies are going to be secured. The road is going to be okay because you blew up the transformer. And that is something that you must be aware of. The transformers are going to always blow up before there is damage, permanent damage in all of the streets or whatever. Now, when transformers blow up, you have to be careful about people trying to fix them, because there are people that try to fix them. Yeah, especially if you have no help or there is no one coming or something. And then they add water because the transformer is on fire, and people will add water to them. Yes, people are that stupid. Yes, people are that ignorant. Yes, they will do it. I'm not making this, hell, I couldn't even make it up, even if I wanted to. So, hell, no. People will try to put up these fires by themselves if there is no one available or whatever, and then they were going to add water to that thing. Crap. It's just, insane. So, the transformers blew up. You are not going to get electricity, but everybody else will have electricity, so you are okay. Because your structure is still okay. Meaning, you blow up the tire in your car. Is your car damaged? No. Is your car working? If it doesn't have fuel, it won't work. If it doesn't have tires, it's not going anywhere. Meaning, you're not going anywhere. Meaning, you won't have electricity, so stop it. So, the same will go into your house. And here is, you're thinking, what the hell? Well, it's because, let's say, that you get one cable into your house. And your house gets, let's say 10,000. 10,000 of electricity, and you get it into the cable through your house. And then, this is what happens. You are going to, plug in your cell phone that only requires 100. What happens? Oh hell, your cell phone is going to blow up. Literally. It's just going to be like that. And then it may or may not catch fire, but oh hell, it's going to create a huge problem because you're going to damage the cables, the cell phone, the whole entrance of electricity to your house and everything. Why? Because every time that you have, is like I said, it's like your budget. You get $10,000. What the hell are you going to do with those $10,000? You can't spend them, all of them, in just one thing. So what you do in your house is, there will be an electrician, and there will be somebody that knows what the hell they are doing, And then they will say, okay, where does, we are going to divide this house into 5 areas. And then each area is going to get this amount of money. Okay? So it's sort of like this. This one goes for paying the rent. This one goes for utilities. This one goes for, clothing and stuff like that. This one goes for food and other ones, okay? Now, the thing about this budget is very, very, and I do mean very strict. If you try to spend money that belongs to the rent and you try to spend it, in food, oh, hell, your rent is not going to be there, and then somebody is going to be kicked out. Okay, so this is very strict. So they will say, okay, the laundry area is something that really, really requires a lot of electricity, because usually people have irons and they have dryers and they have washing machines and stuff, and they require a lot of power there. So it will be like you renting, So a big chunk goes there. The second biggest chunk goes to the kitchen, because obviously you have a lot of devices that work in electricity. Now the third one, might be divided, between the bathrooms and stuff like that and whatever. So each area has to be protected by a breaker, as in a tire, And if you are taking too much from that area, the breaker will go poof, and the breaker will be down and the breaker will be gone. That breaker, if you want it to be porcelain as much as possible, if you can find it, and you want the pluggers to be, porcelain if you can. You want the calmers to be porcelain if you can, because plastic, if it is too hot, they will melt, and when things melt, it's like you having to pay, but nobody will take your money. It's sort of like that. So why do I tell you these things? Well, because electricity works like this, bus. This bus has a certain weight limit and a certain, capacity for people. Meaning, let's say that you want to fill it up with, stones instead of people. Do you think that vehicle is going to move? Hell no. It will be stuck. You can't fill up a bus that is meant for people with rocks, because otherwise, it's just insane. It's not going to work. The car is going to be damaged. Same thing happens with electricity. You can't use too many things that are not meant to be used in that thing. Now, the same happens with people. Let's say that car, has a capacity for 35 people, and you're trying to fit, 80. What do you think is going to happen? No, you can't fit more people in there. Okay, period. Okay? So that is when you really, really, really need to figure out, about the watts and about the voltage. Okay? Think of this thing that I'm trying to tell you about the people. You're trying to fit 80 people in a bus that fits, 35. What do you think is going to happen? Oh, hell yeah, those people are not going anywhere. And you're going to have a problem. Now, problems with electricity means 2 things. Number 1, if you're asking too much, they will go on a strike. Meaning that as soon as you plug them in, the device, the microwave, the air conditioner, whatever, is going to blow up from the inside out, and then the device will be damaged. Period. That's it. The device will be damaged. It's like, like I said with the car. If you try to put stones in there instead of, putting people, that, bus is going to be damaged. You need to take it to the mechanic to fix it, because you just broke something inside because of the weight limit. Now, that happens a lot when you are working with electricity that is not working properly. Meaning the electricity that you're supposed to get is either 110 or 220. Okay? 110 and 220. There is, probably you can, get around 112, maybe 18, but, there is no way in hell that the car can be working, normal at 80. Because that means that it's kind of like you just put stones instead of people inside the bus is going to break. So how is it going to break? Well, it's going to get damaged, and then the car just won't budge. Period. It will just stop. It doesn't matter what the hell you do, the car will stop. It didn't blow up, okay? It just stopped. At that point, that means that the electricity that you're getting is very, very, very low. Meaning you're working too much, you're working too heavy. Meaning that, things are going to get overheated, but they are going to get damaged, and they are going to just stop working, and then you will have to throw away all of your devices. This includes, your refrigerator and all of the other things that you have in your house. Now, let's say that you do the opposite. You take the car that is working, and you have 50 people that you didn't fit. So what happens if the 50 people decide that they are going with you no matter what? So they stuck into the car, like they will jump, and then they will be in the roof, and then they will be whatever. What the hell? They are going to damage the car, but this time it's going to be different, because in the middle of the panic, the driver might crash the car against something. Because now you have people that are even in your front, your back, you can't see. I mean, hell, and you have more weight and everything. So you might as well crash it. If you crash it, that means, basically that you destroy the thing. Now, when does that happen? Well, the opposite. At this point, instead of 110, the electricity is 130. So some things are going to blow up, like light bulbs and stuff like that. And at this point, some of them might catch fire. You're thinking, what? Yeah, and I'm thinking, yes, they are going to catch fire. Think about the driver being so pissed that somebody destroyed this thing that the driver starts, shooting everybody or something like that. But instead of, fire, like that, like the gun thing, is going to be, fire, like a real fire. So the electricity needs to be, like I said, constant. It has limits, as in the people that you can put into the bus, and it has limits as in the weight that you can put into the bus. Now, these tires are like breakers, okay? Like I said, the breakers will tell you how much weight you can carry. Now, how about what determines how many people can you fit in the car? Well, that will be the cable. The cable that you have, in your cell phone to plug it in. That cable, if it is too thin, it means less people, means less voltage, means less electricity. That cable, if you're going to get it for 220, oh hell, that cable better be like this thick or something, because otherwise it will catch fire. Because it will be like you being in the car, like I said, trying to fit, 85 people or something, and you're supposed to carry only 35. Yeah, you're going to end up, killing someone. So at that point, that killing someone is the fact that the cable is going to just catch fire. The cable. And once the cable starts melting and doing a lot of things, then, oh, hell, you gotta go and fix it. How the hell do you fix it? You break the tires. Meaning, you need to fix it. You need to find the freaking breakers, and you need to lower the car. If you lower the car, that fire might be under control a little bit. It might not save everything, but at least it will be, you can stop the car from moving more. And you can stop the people from trying to get into the freaking car. Because people are not going to try to get into the car if the car is stopped. So you need to freaking blow up the tires, meaning find the freaking breakers, okay? And, like I said, use the right amount of people, meaning use the right cable. Now, there is another thing that you have to be aware of. And at this point, you need to figure out two things. That there is also, when you have a road, you have capacity and you have traffic. You may be thinking, what the hell? Well, because the road also has limits. Think of, how many lanes that it has. You can't have, 8 lanes in a street. Because you will be like, oh, come on, that's a lot of traffic from in front of my house. So hell no. So that road needs to be limited. That means that the electricity that you need to get to go someplace specifically, meaning your plug, has to be limited. You can't have, in certain plugs that you're going to use, there is, several breakers that are connected to that thing. And the breakers have a number on it. And depending upon how much lanes you have in that particular, plug thing, then that's the amount of that's the amount of cars that you can get in there. So try to imagine that you're putting 8 cars in one lane. Oh hell, that's going to create a lot of traffic in that lane, right? So if you have a lot of traffic in that lane, means that whatever the hell you have plugged into that thing is going to probably overheat and is going to probably create a problem because you are overloading the road. You don't want that. You want it to be, if you have like 8 devices connected to that plug, you need the road to be 8 or 10. Otherwise, they are going to stuck together. And if they are stuck together, the drivers are going to crash into one another. And that is why you will also have fires. Because they will overload that system. Think of every single person trying to go through the same, think of 8 cars trying to go through one lane. They are going to be pissed at each other, especially if one is faster than the other ones. If they have to stop or whatever, they are going to be, honking, swearing, and all of these things, and they are going to be into a fight. And when that happens, you will have a fire. So you need to figure out, for each plug, you want to have the like a writing, so that you can know where is the tire, meaning where is the breaker that is connected to each one of the plugs and things that had for the light bulbs in your freaking house. If you don't, then hire a freaking electrician and figure out. Because let's say that, like I said, you are using a plug in your kitchen. Okay, you have a kitchen and you have, 3 plugs. And then you are connecting to the same plugs, to the same one plug out of those 3. You are connecting one fryer, okay? And then you connect, for whatever reason, you connect an electrical kitchen that consumes, fuel and space like hell. And then you are connecting, something else, like the microwave, which also consumes that. So these 3 are going to be fighting for the electricity that goes into them. Why? Because these 3 are in the kitchen and they are connected to the same freaking road. So if they are connected to the same freaking road, you have to make sure that there are 3 lanes in that road. Because you have 3 things. If you don't, then 2 of them are going to crash. And when they crash, they are going to either blow up your devices, or they are either going to, create a fire on the walls and destroy the freaking road. So you need to think about it that way, and you need to try to figure out with an electrician, the breakers and the amount of energy that you're using. You have to go with an electrician saying, hey, I use this kitchen for this, and that. And then he will make a calculation and he will say, okay, you need a breaker. By the way, breakers comes in 20, 30, 40, 60, and 80, I think. So he's going to say, okay, we are going to use this type of tire, like motorcycle tires, because you have a motorcycle. Or he's going to say, we need truck tires because you need truck type of road. Or he can say, oh no, you just need a regular tire here and it will be okay. If you don't do this and you use it, in a way that you do not know, because you have no idea what the hell is the road, because the road is going to be, like I said, the cables and a lot of things that need to be measured, then basically you are going to screw up. And that is why a lot of people are going to screw up, because most people right now, let's say that half of the people that they don't cook. They go out and they buy food, on the road. But let's say that there is hard times, and now they have to stay home, and now they have to cook. Before, nobody used, their kitchen before for cooking. So now the kitchen is being used at the fullest. But now, let's think about this. Most kitchens are designed for devices that are working with propane. So what happens if you do not have propane? Well, most people are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy an electrical grill. I am going to use a microwave, and then I'm going to buy a fryer, which is electrical, and then I'm going to buy an electrical kitchen. And then I'm going to buy an electrical oven. So the road in your kitchen was designed for 2 things or 2 devices. Now you have 5. They are going to crash. If they crash, you better have very, very, very good, tires to destroy it so that, the thing goes down without creating a crash bigger. Because if you don't, then that car is going to continue its way until it crashes against something, which means that you're going to get into a huge fire. Meaning the fire from your kitchen is going to spread through the cables to all your entire freaking house. That's why you really, really, really need the freaking tires to be the right size, and you really, really, really need to know how the hell to operate those freaking tires, those freaking breakers. And you really need to figure this one out, because if you don't, you are going to, be a target for fires. And you better tell about your freaking neighbors about this. Because if your neighbors do not know and they create a fire in their house, especially if it is apartments. Because see, in a building, most cables are connected. So, what happens if your neighbor's cable ended up connecting to your cable and his cable is on fire? Yours is probably going to be on fire too. So you need to figure out how to shut down the things through the breakers, and you need to tell people that they need to buy surge protectors for all of the things that consume a lot of electricity. That is air conditioners, microwave, freezers, and we have them all also for the TVs and the computers, because TVs and computers, if they break for whatever reason, oh hell. So, you want to have them for those things. And you want to have a huge one for your house. And you need to figure out how to shut down the electricity for your house with just one, huge breaker thing. Because if there is a huge fire and you need to put it out with water and there is electricity going through the freaking cables, you are going to make things worse. So you need to cut down the power to your entire house, and you need to know how the hell to do that. And it's usually use a breaker. And you need to figure out where the hell that is, even if you live in an apartment, because it is all, hell, for all I know, it could be in the basement. You need to figure out where are the breakers. And you need to figure out a way to get them fast if you have a fire. Because like I said, you have people that were using, delivery services or restaurants. Now they have to stay home. Now they're using propane. Propane creates a problem because not a lot of people knows how the hell to handle the cylinders, and then they're going to blow up. Those you cannot do anything about, because, come on, what the hell? You can't teach people everything. But you can tell them about, the electricity, because if they connect 2 or 3 things at the same time, it's just one of those things that are going to blow up because they will be overheated. They will be overheated because they exceeded the capacity, or they got too much traffic at once. One of those 2 things. And I explained to you by, kind of like the concept so that you can understand the analogy. I'm not going to go into details, as into what is watts, what is the voltage, what is this, and what is that, and why you can't put this and that, blah, 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 because, that is physics, and I'm not going to teach you physics. I just want you to understand the process of logical things. You have a car that you need to be stopped, shoot the tires. You have a car that won't start, check the fuel, check the tires. Then you check everything else. You have a car that needs to, move, check the freaking road. And then check the freaking car. That's how kind of you do things. So again, remember, the tires, meaning the brakers, they have two things. They have a temperature limit and they have a speed limit, meaning they have a limit in which if you put them too much air, they will blow up. Tires do blow up. And if you put them too much weight, the tire will go do, 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 and then it will just die, kind of thing, okay? And if you put the tire in the desert, when the tire is supposed to be normal, the tire will melt. And if you put the tire, with no protection whatsoever under pavement that is frozen, of course the tire is going to freeze also. So it's a whole lot of issues that you need to help with the breakers. You need to have the breakers that are exactly the amount that you need. You can't have them too high, because then the devices are going to just go through, and if the devices go through, it's like you having a leak of fuel in your car. If you have a leak of fuel in your car and then something happens, boom, that leak is going to destroy the entire car. That's why you need the exact amount of the breaker. It has to be an exact number, and it has to be, like I said, 10, 20, 30, 40, I think 60. I don't remember how much a breaker can be, but you really need to check this with an electrician. And do this before you call the electrician. You have to figure out what devices you are using in each area in your house. Because the electrician is going to ask, what do you use here? If you use a hairdryer in the kitchen, you need to tell them. Because that hairdryer is going to be one more car into your freaking traffic thing. So you need to know, don't assume that the electrician knows. Actually write it down. What are the devices that you mostly use in each area? And based upon that, you do your estimate. And based upon that, they will set up, the budget. And from that budget, you cannot move. Because if you move, you are out of rent, and then you're going to be kicked out. Kind of thing, okay? So hope this was helpful. So thank you very much for staying during my class. Bye.